Hi, everyone. Welcome to our podcast for Saturday. We're actually recording this at a decent time for once on January 17th. This is Matt, and I have Augie with me.
Hello.
This is actually the first time that it's just been the two of us for a while. So, if you heard last night's show, Alex and I talked about the Oscar nominations in kind of detail. But since Augie hasn't had a chance to talk, we also deliberately left out certain topics that I'm sure he was more passionate about than we are. Like I said last night, Oscars are bullshit to begin with, / award shows in general.
Yeah, me personally, I just learned to cut myself off. I just don't even like whatever. Even though I'm certainly going to say some words about what things were left off and what was left in that probably shouldn't have been. I really just in the end I just don't get. I don't care that much over it. Like when it's like it happens every single year. We have the same grievances every year. It's no different any other year. It's never been different ever since the Oscars started in the late 20s.
Although I will say I was very pleased with the Globes, which rarely happens, but
Right.
so obviously for some reason Best Picture we have 8 nominees.
Well, they started doing that. I know. I think it was either last year or the year before. They started doing like a sliding scale of nominees. I don't remember what the criteria was.
I think it's percentage based.
Yeah, instead of doing a hard 10 nominees, which I'm glad they stopped that. It's like a sliding scale depending on which movies were voted for what.
But we got, let's see, I'm going to read these off real quick. American Sniper, Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance. Yes, everyone, that's the real title. It's not just called Birdman.
All right, can we just not? It's such a pretentious subtitle.
They should have just called it Birdman. Boyhood, My Big Shock, Grand Budapest Hotel. There was actually 2 big shocks in here. Imitation Game, Selma, Theory of Everything, and Whiplash. Whiplash was my second surprise.
I'm so happy Grand Budapest Hotel is in the Best Picture nominees. Not because it had 2 factors going against it that I was scared of. One, it's a comedy. 2, it was released in April, I think.
February, I think.
February? Oh, wow, it was that early.
And 3, it's Wes Anderson. Who they've...
but... Yeah, I mean, sure, and Moonrise was nominated too, right?
Not for Best Picture.
Yeah, see, but that's the thing. I don't think Wes has ever been nominated for a movie of his has ever been nominated for Best Picture
or for direction.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Moonrise, I think, only got a screenplay nomination.
Yeah, screenplay and cinematography, I think.
Again, I can't break this record enough. I can't believe how shocked I am that both Imitation Game and Theory of Everything are in this pool.
You shouldn't be shocked.
I'm shocked. No, I'm not. I'm not shocked.
I'm sorry.
I'm rolling on the floor in obviousness because, of course, the Oscars that picked these 2 movies. I could tell from the trailers, without even seeing either of them, that these 2 movies were going to be nominated for everything at the Oscars, and were going to take the place of movies that were both more creative and
just better movies
in general, and not the kind of movies that you watch, you like, and then you kind of
because to me, Selma is the kind of biopic that deserves Oscar love because it's focused, it doesn't pander, but yet it makes a statement.
And it sheds off a lot of that kind of melodramatic grandstanding that the Oscars typically love. Which I didn't see Theory of Everything, but I saw Imitation Game, and I liked it. I thought it was good, but it definitely falls into those same claptraps of what Oscar wants. There's the big scene at the end where he has the big crying scene, and he talks about his faults and everything and what led to this, and it was it's Imitation Game, it hits all those beats that you would expect to help it win awards like this, whereas Selma does not do that. It certainly has elements of it, but it doesn't feel as much like it's trying to strive for awards, which something like Imitation Game certainly does. I will commend them on the Oscars on this. Aside from those two movies, this is a very eclectic pick of Best Pictures. I haven't seen American Sniper, but the fact that, from what I've seen, it's more of a stripped down and spare war movie.
Yes.
That, it's not like, it's not like a big war movie. It's not like Saving Private Ryan or something like that. Then you have Birdman, which is like
purely experimental.
Which I wasn't the biggest fan of, but I do admire the Oscars for going out there and nominating a movie that's as artistic in its own way as this. And then there's Boyhood, of course, which 12-year movie.
12 Years a White Kid.
12 Years a White Kid. That's a perfect title.
And then Grand Budapest.
Shit, what was my favorite? That wasn't my favorite one. I forget what my favorite one was. Of those, like if the Oscar titles told the truth. It wasn't that one. I forget which one it was.
I'll look them up.
Quirky comedy. It's a Wes Anderson movie. Not exactly the kind of movie that would scream out for awards, but happy it's there. It was one of my 5 favorite movies of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Selma, which we just talked about, and then Whiplash, which I haven't seen, but I know you and Alex extolled the virtues of a lot.
It's my number 1 of the year. I did a lot of thinking, but more I think about it, yeah. Oh, the Birdman one's my favorite. The Dark Knight Crisis. Theory of Everything, challenging disability biopic. Selma, challenging race biopic. Imitation Game, challenging gay biopic. Foxcatcher, WrestleMania. Grand Budapest Hotel. Oh, Grand Budapest is my favorite. The Hipster Travelogue. And then Gone Girl, Selfish Cuts.
I saw a different one.
Yeah, this is a different. This is not College Humor. This is the Shiznit.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna look for the College Humor list.
Nightcrawler, TMZ.
College Humor Oscar titles. While I'm waiting for this.
But what's on here that should be? What's not on here that should be?
One, I know you said you and Alex talked about this, but the fact that Selma was nominated for Best Picture, which rightfully so, it should be, but not nominated for literally anything else except Best Song. Especially since, like I said, Imitation Game falls into a lot of similar, like, predictable, like, dramatic patterns, whereas Ava DuVernay's work on Selma, I think, definitely sidesteps that a lot, and she chooses to play things more at a more somber and subdued level, and she's also made a biopic that doesn't paint MLK as a saint who could easily, like, in someone's hands be, like, portrayed as, like, this, like, shining beacon of light. And he's definitely a guy doing a lot of great stuff, but the movie also does a great job of showing that some of his tactics are a little questionable, like intentionally sending people out to make a statement just so everyone else can see these atrocities on TV and get noticed. Hold on, I'm looking at the Oscar titles. Oh, Zero Dark Hurt Locker.
Yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch tries to look human.
That's pretty true.
Where the fuck? That. Hold on. I love it. And then Selma, depressingly relevant. Okay, let me go back to the Oscars. So yeah,
because me personally, I would swap out Theory and. Let's say you have 10 nominees. You have to put 2 more in. I would add Foxcatcher and Gone Girl.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're going to get rid of 2, I'd get rid of Theory and Imitation. And then I would put in something like The Babadook, which I know it's ineligible. Uh, just
Why is it ineligible?
because it was released in video on demand.
Oh, son of a bitch! This is where the Oscar rules are like. They have these little rules that they abide by, depending on how they make their nominations, and it's so stupid. Like the music, they have like this rule for like music where if like like pretty much like at any moment, if a score samples another score, it like is immediately ineligible. I remember with The Artist. I really like the score for it, but it was ineligible because there's like a minute segment where they use a bit of the Vertigo score, and because of that little snippet, the entire score was ineligible.
And same thing with Whiplash.
Yeah,
and Birdman, same thing.
Right.
So yeah, overall I'm happy with the Best Picture nominees, although I think Boyhood's going to take this.
I'm not really sure.
I think it's either Boyhood or Birdman, but then again, Invitation Game has Harvey Weinstein behind it.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's between Boyhood and the Tortured Genius biopics. It's between those three.
Although American Sniper pays to the older Republican right-wing voters.
Was also thinking that too, especially since the average age of the Academy is like 63.
Yeah. Although, here's the thing. I wouldn't be mad if American Sniper won, because I went in there expecting it to not be good. And it's now in my top, 15. Which will lead us to Best Actor, where everyone lost their shit.
Can we just all agree that, where the hell is Gyllenhaal?
Well, it's Steve Carell, Bradley Cooper, Benedict Cumberbatch, Michael Keaton, Eddie Redmayne. I don't have any problems with these performances by themselves.
I mean, yeah, they're all good performances.
But here's the thing. Carell's a supporting role.
Yeah.
It's unequivocally a supporting role. I would move him down to supporting, get rid of Cumberbatch, and I would put in Gyllenhaal and David Oyelowo. And there's your 5.
So now, going back to the whole, how this ties into Selma, but it's not just Selma. It's a whole bigger, larger problem, not just with the Oscars, but with the industry in general. With this year more than any other is a year that people are really getting fired up about diversity in our entertainment, and just to show how why the Oscars are still a relic of the past. The demographics of the Oscar voters are, the average age is 63 years old, and race-wise, or gender-wise, it's 77% men.
Oh, God.
Now, race-wise, it's 94% white, 2% black,
wow.
2% Latino, and less than 0.5% every other race.
What does that tell you?
I mean, goddamn, 94% white. That's insane. I mean, and it just shows how, we're not really going to get real change until the system changes.
It's not being progressive. If anything, we're staying stuck in the past.
Yeah. So anyway, back to the actor talk. Yeah, Gyllenhaal, I think, is definitely the biggest snub.
I think the reason why he's not on here is because he's not part of their club. Because he's still an indie kind of actor.
True.
And although I think it's funny, Bradley Cooper's gotten 4 Oscar nominations in 3 years. He's got 3 acting and 1 as a producer.
I'm trying to wrap my head around this because when I see these every year, I'm like, oh yeah, he's pretty great in these movies. But then when I think about it, he has 3 Oscar nominations, and there are actors throughout the history of film that I think he's a really good actor. But there are tons of actors throughout the history of film that are great transcendent actors that have like left a huge mark on the industry, and they have less or none of the nominations that he has.
Well, and also it depends the kind of films they make. Because you look at Gary Oldman, he's got one, but he hasn't exactly made,
Right.
films that appeal to Oscar voters. I mean, Sid and Nancy would probably be the closest.
Sorry, Harry Potter fans.
Yeah, well, you look at guys like Gary Oldman or me personally, I think someone like Tim Curry for Rocky Horror Picture Show. Like, if you think talking those iconic roles,
Right.
I'm not too crazy about Michael Keaton though. I thought he was great in the movie, but he has those moments where he turns into Beetlejuice.
Yeah, he definitely. I mean, well, I think that's indicative of the movie in general because a lot of the performances in that have their moments where they push the acting too far.
Well, I think the only one it works for is Edward Norton because that's his character.
Right.
He's supposed to be. He's pretty much playing James Dean if he was still alive.
Yeah.
And Cooper got a lot. Cooper got a.
Think about this. Bradley Cooper has the same number of nominations as James Dean has film roles.
And he's got the same amount of acting roles in 3 years than DiCaprio has over 20.
Okay. If Bradley Cooper wins an Oscar before DiCaprio does, we're gonna have to start some shit with the Academy.
Although, you know what? I say Cooper should win of these 5. Like, I'm not kidding. He's that good in the movie. And I'm sick of the Eddie Redmayne one is like Daniel Day-Lewis in my left foot. I mean, I wouldn't be mad if he won, but...
Well, so here's the rub, though. Like, My Left Foot is an amazing movie, and it's certainly, like, when you look at it from the outside, it's certainly, you think, like, oh, yeah, of course Oscar's going to nominate that, but I don't think it falls into a lot of those same claptraps of, like,
it does.
award baiting.
But as long as Cumberbatch doesn't win, I'll be okay.
Well, so this is the problem with me, is like, Carell, I think, is, of all the, I haven't, see, that's the thing, like, I haven't seen Sniper or Theory, so right now, for me, Cumberbatch is the best one, I think, of those. Well, if I discount Carell, because I think we agree he's a supporting role.
And also, he has no chance of winning. The role's too subtle.
Yeah.
And it's all internalized. Plus, they hate giving it to comedic actors who...
Certainly not subtle in the nasal region.
I say he should be the Penguin.
The best actor goes to Steve Carell's nose in Foxcatcher.
But yeah, Oyelowo and Gyllenhaal should be on here. I could argue Miles Teller for Whiplash.
Mm-hmm. But you're just glad that
because Cooper got a lot of shit from people for being nominated, and I think it's they're mad because he beat out other people when honestly I don't even think he's the weakest of these 5, and people hadn't even seen the damn movie yet. So
see, this actually, as I've like grown more cynical of awards over the years, especially the Oscars, I've grown to realize that my number one reason why I don't like them anymore is not because they burn me every year with snubs and unworthy choices. It's because they completely change how we look at these movies. You cannot bring up Ordinary People or Dances with Wolves
Forrest Gump
or Forrest Gump without people saying like, oh yeah, that fucking movie, it beat Raging Bull. Fuck Dances with Wolves, it beat Goodfellas. Seriously, fuck Dances with Wolves. And then,
I say fuck Forrest Gump too, but
and then Forrest Gump, it beat 4 better movies.
But like 2 iconic movies.
But like that's the problem though, is like
it places too much emphasis on the award.
Once a movie wins the award, people cannot talk about the movie without talking about the award. They don't talk about the movie. They talk about like what award was given to it. Same with someone like someone like Bradley Cooper, who is a really good actor. And I I think it's fine that he's getting nominations. Like I was certainly fine with him being nominated for Silver Linings Playbook, even though maybe there was someone else that got snubbed that would have been there. But that's the problem. Is like when there's someone who's just who gives a very good performance, but wins out over better performances, it retroactively makes people think that their very good performance is worse than it actually is. Because they have that like feeling like, oh yeah, it beat out this like more deserving one. So it like, it's like even Crash. Crash is a mediocre movie, but people talk about it like it's the hellfire of awards season.
They act like it's one of the worst movies ever made.
Yeah, so, like that's what happens with this. It adds a lot of pointless hyperbole, and I'm not saying the Oscars aren't entirely a boon, because they certainly raise the attention of a lot of movies. I mean, I guarantee American Sniper would not be making the insane business it is without all of this awards push. It certainly would make a lot of business because Chris Kyle's book is like a very prolific and popular one. But
and it's Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, and the Clint Eastwood factor certainly helps too.
But
although this is far outgrossing all of Clint Eastwood's other movies.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be his highest grossing movie, because this broke the record for highest opening day in January, I think.
Well, this is gonna beat out his highest grossing movie just like before the opening weekend's even over.
Yeah.
Anyway, with the actors field,
no complaints.
I mean, yeah, I really have no complaints. I'm not shocked that Marion Cotillard was nominated, because she really had two movies that she could have been nominated for this year.
And then last year she got snubbed for Deep Blue Sea. I mean, what was that movie she did? There was something else she did, but The Immigrant was...
Rachel Weisz.
Oh, but there was another... Oh, it was... What the... There was a movie she did with Tom Hiddleston. Keep talking. I'm going to get back to you.
Hold on. Alright. So, I'm going to talk about that. This isn't really an Oscar thing. This is more of a Weinstein thing, because...
It was called Rust and Bone. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, Rust and Bone, that's right. You have The Imitation Game, which right now is Harvey's Awards Golden Boy.
That's why it's going to win.
Then you have The Immigrant, which in my opinion is a far better movie than The Imitation Game. And yet, Harvey treats this movie like the redheaded bastard stepchild of his litter. I don't know what the fuck. Like, does he have something against James Gray or something? Like, they've done no awards pushing at all for this.
I think it's better than Imitation Game, but I think Jeremy Renner's really miscast, and I don't know what Joaquin Phoenix was doing. It was weird watching him.
I'm not sure a lot of people can tell what Joaquin Phoenix is doing. I mean, you saw Inherent Vice. You can speak for it.
Yeah, well, but he suits that role. Because he's... But yeah, I don't care who wins. Although, this is going to be Julianne Moore's year. I don't think she loses.
Yeah,
It's just funny that she doesn't have one yet. It's shocking.
I would be surprised if Moore doesn't win for this, especially since people are saying this is their best performance. I'm glad Wilde's on here, because it certainly fits a lot of the types for, like, a nominated role, no makeup, weight loss, more like Howard like look about the actress. But I think Witherspoon is well deserving of nomination. Also glad for Pike being nominated for two reasons. One, because I absolutely loved her in the movie. Two, in Gone Girl, and two, because I like when Oscar says, you know what, sometimes we like genre films, and
But I also think this is going to get her much more publicity, because people
it's not quite as groundbreaking as when Weaver was nominated for Aliens, but it's certainly a step in that direction.
Or Jodie Foster for Silence of the Lambs.
Right, where they go from more dark, thrillerish, pulpy fare, which, hey, Pulp is an art form too, and it should not be dismissed.
But like, I would be surprised though if I wouldn't be shocked if Reese Witherspoon won this because they love her.
Mm-hmm.
And
She is not. I don't even remember her being. Has she even been nominated before?
she's won before. She won for Walk the Line.
Oh shit, that's right. Forgot. Forgot she won for that.
Which, by the way, Inherent Vice is a reunion between her and Joaquin Phoenix, and they're doing pot. They're smoking pot together, and then we get to supporting actor.
Well, actually, I do want to say one thing. I would not entirely be opposed if Felicity Jones won because these other four actresses, you know, whether or not they have better performances is beside my point. Because, you know, I think she's been in a lot of movies recently, but she hasn't quite, like, this is certainly, I think, her, like, mainstream, like, breakout role. And if she does win, I think it'll push her even further, which I'm all for.
Well, I think that would do the same if Pike wins.
Either of them too. You know, if either of them win, it'll certainly raise their profile, which is one of the positives of the Oscars when a mainstream unknown wins.
Although,
then
I have to say, looking at supporting actor,
we're just going to address the judge in the room.
Yeah, I find them guilty of nominating a generic movie. Although it's exactly the same 5 as the Golden Globes. Exactly the same.
Which is interesting.
Although they're going to call this the J.K. Simmons Award. There's no way he loses.
What if...
If Duvall takes this, I'm going to jump through a window.
No, I'm trying to say, what if either Ruffalo or Hawk pull this through? It would be pretty cool if Ethan Hawke won, even though J.K. Simmons is not.
Although I think it'd be cool if Edward Norton won because he's never won before.
Right. And wait, who won Best Actor in night for?
He lost to fucking Benigni.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he lost.
And then he lost for Primal Fear to Cuba Gooding Jr. Are you fucking kidding me?
It's such a shame.
So yeah, he should have won one of those 2 years.
Supporting actress.
But
okay.
I was just gonna say, if you take out Duvall, I know Alex wants to put Josh Brolin in. I think he should have been the 5th one. Although I would argue, what's his name, Alfred Molina for Love is Strange.
Mm-hmm.
But you got 4 great choices, and then the Oscar bait type movie.
The Oscar bait, old man going out, needs one more nomination before he dies. Nomination.
Although, you know, supporting actor always goes to the oldest person, the one that's closest to the grave. I wouldn't be shocked if he won.
It's not like he doesn't need. He won before. He doesn't need to win again. He's already won.
And then supporting actress, the Patricia Arquette Award. Little surprised to see Laura Dern on here.
Son of a bitch. Okay, I know I looked at the Oscar nominations like a couple days ago. I guess I didn't look closely enough because I seem to have missed the obligatory Meryl Streep nomination.
But this is one that was actually deserving.
I mean, like, she was good in the movie, but...
Oh, you saw it.
But seriously, I mean...
I didn't realize you saw the movie.
Yeah, I liked it.
Weren't you shocked that Johnny Depp was only in it for 5 minutes?
I'm glad he was only in it for 5 minutes. He doesn't need to be in the spotlight all the time.
Although that was kind of disturbing that he was hitting on a 14-year-old girl. But although in the musical it's even worse because he's got a...
It's even darker in the musical.
Yeah, because he's got a prosthetic penis.
Yeah.
Disney's like, no.
But they still kept just enough of the weirdness in there.
But yeah, I'm not shocked she's nominated. But then again, Arquette's not losing, so it's not like they're going to lose anything from her getting nominated. So
I have a few bones to pick with this. I'll say one positive. Arquette definitely should win this. I like that Laura Dern was nominated. I think she she's certainly getting praise for Wild, but I don't think not enough of like not as much attention maybe. And she's a small presence in the movie, but she definitely her character kind of hangs over the whole movie and is one of the more pivotal parts of it. But the three bones I have to pick are one. I mean, come on, there's I know there. I'm not even gonna name any of them because I know there are other.
There is one
supporting actresses out there.
There's one big one that's missing. Renee
also
Russo
and Emma Stone too, who we agree is the weakest in Birdman.
I hated her in that movie.
And okay, Keira Knightley is not a supporting character.
Yeah, what the fuck?
She is the lead.
She is the second build actress.
I mean, Imitation Game is certainly like Cumberbatch's movie, but she plays a heavy role in the movie. It's not like she's not a side character.
Although that's how Meryl Streep is. She's top build. And she's in almost the majority of the movie.
Right.
Although Arquette is too, so
yeah,
they should just have two lead actors category.
But that's the thing. And Arquette, I think, should also be in the lead actress category, not supporting. This was another issue I had with all the awards that nominated her for supporting actress, and she should be in the lead running.
The two big ones that I think are missing are Renee Russo.
Yes.
And Jessica Chastain for Most Violent Year.
Still have not seen that.
It's great. And then me personally, I'd go with Tilda Swinton for Snowpiercer.
Either Tilda Swinton for Snowpiercer, or even though I wasn't a huge fan of the movie, Tilda Swinton was also great in Only Lovers Left Alive.
Although, was she a lead?
I would say, yeah, her and Hiddleston definitely share equal screen time.
But yeah,
they're co-leads.
Yeah, this category, it's kind of. I only think Laura Dern should win because she's the only one that's a supporting role.
Well, this is the problem with this year. It was a fantastic year for movies across the board, like in most genres except maybe horror. But actress-wise, not particularly strong.
Well, I think there were. It's just you had to look for them because, like Essie Davis, Jenny Slate, Kristen Wiig, there's great performances. It's just you have to look for them.
Yeah, man. Now you just rattled off a bunch of actress names that could easily have made it into the lead actress.
I'd put what's her name from Inherent Vice, Catherine Waterston. Yeah, I was gonna say Catherine Witherspoon, but because when I saw the trailers,
this is in the movie too.
Yeah, because I was watching the trailer and I'm like, are they related? And then I realized they were two separate names. Yeah, I think there was plenty of other choices that they could have picked and kind of spread out. Best animated movie. Where's the Lego Movie?
Just where is the Lego Movie? I mean, I can't ask it enough. Where is the Lego Movie? I mean, come on. You nominate Grand Budapest Hotel February release. You could nominate the other great February release of that year too. But no, it has 5 minutes of live action in it, so therefore
that makes the movie even better.
Not gonna get mad.
Although I will say, The Tale of the Princess Kaguya is a really good movie. It's from the co-creator of Ghibli.
Well, yeah, and he's the guy who did Grave of the Fireflies.
Isao Takahata.
Yep.
But based on these 5, it's Big Hero 6.
I would say Big Hero 6.
I don't think it's close. Although, I pray to God How to Train Your Dragon doesn't win.
Don't say it. Please don't say it. The Globes already screwed me over on that one.
Any other big category? Oh, well, let's just talk about director, and then that's it. Birdman, Boyhood, Foxcatcher, Grand Budapest Hotel, Imitation Game.
I think the first 4 are great. Well, I mean, I know I've had bones to pick with Birdman. I don't have a problem necessarily with him with Inarritu being in there. My only real thing is just swap out Tiledom for Ava DuVernay.
Yeah. Although
It's
it's
simple.
just again, why isn't Foxcatcher nominated for Best Picture if you're gonna nominate the director?
Oh, that's a good point. I did not realize that.
I said that at the beginning of the show.
Sorry.
It,
Oh, that.
it
Well, I mean, well, see, here's the thing. I mean, I kind of get why they would do. I mean, maybe not exactly, but like at the same time, his direction, I think, was definitely one of the probably even more than the acting. The thing that struck me the most when I was watching it, it's definitely the stuff. It's definitely the aspect of the movie that has like resonated with me, even beyond the performances, and it even helped. It helped elevate the performances for me, and not necessarily in like in the standard like dramatics way, but in the way that the direction reveals more about the characters. It reveals more about where the story is going. It hints at greater depths in the story and the layers underneath it. So, even though it wasn't in Best Picture, I'm glad he's in Best Director. But
yeah, it's just weird to me. I hate that distinction.
yeah, it's
I
weird.
mean, I'm fine with when you have a director win, but the movie doesn't because they've done that the last 2 years. I want to say because Corone won, and then Ang Lee I think won for Life of Pi.
Yeah, Ang Lee winning, I do remember, and Argo won.
I do remember because we were all shocked when we were watching it. But yeah, the rest of these I don't have any major issues with. Aside, there was one tiny nitpick I had.
Wait. How do you feel about Inherent Vice being nominated for adapted screenplay?
That was the one I had issue with actually, because it's the story is such a mess that I give them points for trying because those books are.
Well, because Thomas Pynchon novels are not easy.
It's like Alan Moore. He's like, I'm gonna deliberately make sure no one can adapt these books properly. And then Interstellar. I mean, visual effects. It's 4 superhero movies and Interstellar. Actually, no, Apes isn't a superhero movie. I'm sorry. Uh, I think that.
I mean, the apes are kind of superheroes in their own rights. I mean, they were injected with a super gas. You know,
They're the Captain America
they're
of
the,
apes.
the Teenage Mutant Ninja Apes. I mean, you know, they infected with gas that made them super smart, gave them enhanced abilities.
Yeah, let's not talk about Ninja Turtles.
That's for the Razzies.
I don't care about the Razzies because it's like let's dog on whatever the celebrity of the year is.
Yeah, I mean, I used to enjoy the Razzies because they were just like a joke, but at this point, the joke has worn off.
Especially because like I don't even think Transformers is the worst movie of the year, and that got the most nominations.
It's like how Sylvester Stallone is like the big whipping boy of the Razzies. He has more nominations than anyone else.
Yeah.
um, well, hold on. Production design. I hope Grand Budapest takes this. Uh, yeah. Okay. I know a lot of people were miffed about Interstellar being in the running for the sound, which I don't get because I didn't have any problem with the sound in Interstellar.
Yeah, I
Like,
didn't either.
people are saying like the dialogue is drowned out, which is certainly a problem in other Christopher Nolan movies, but
See Dark Knight Rises, where they make Bane's voice so much more.
or Inception, where the Hans Zimmer is drowning out Ken Watanabe's accent.
It's like he's hard enough to understand as it is, and
You're gonna put Hans over it.
I mean, I think Foxcatcher should be in the sound mixing. I know it sounds weird to pick that, but I think the way he uses sound, like the gunshot and the wrestling scenes, I think sound elevates that movie. Although, thank God, Hobbit is not in visual effects.
Yeah. I hope Interstellar takes visual effects because I know in my gut I want to say Planet of the Apes because of the mocap work, but the mark of truly great special effects is when you don't notice special effects, and the ape stuff, you know, as fantastic and incredibly detailed and intricate as it was, there's still a part of me that still recognizes that it's a CG creation, whereas Christopher Nolan, for his writing faults, in his recent movies. He's always been even though we definitely praise him for being a practical effects man, he uses a lot of CG. It's just that we don't notice it.
He uses CG in an effective way.
Like the Dark Knight Rises, the whole climax, I'm sure it's full of CG, but we just don't notice it because Nolan so perfectly blends the digital and the practical, and with Interstellar, there's rarely a moment where it feels like special effects are taking over. Everything feels organic. There's never a moment that like breaks me out of it that says like, oh yeah, that's a cool special effect.
Yeah. Although I would pick X-Men for the Quicksilver scene. Just throwing that out there.
That was for that scene alone, it gets nomination.
Although I think the way that whole climax, the effects are seamless. Actually, I have some questions that I got from the Amigos site because we were talking about. I wrote a piece about Michael Mann, and I have a list of directors. They wanted us to name our best and worst of each, starting with Michael Mann. I'm not going to say Black Hat because he hasn't seen it. I think his best movie is his first movie, Thief. Because the thing is, almost every kind of movie like that has borrowed from it to some degree, like Drive.
Oh yeah, Drive takes a lot from Thief.
Movies like that, and I think it's his best movie from a technical standpoint, from a visual standpoint, performances. And then worst, it's Miami Vice. I think it's crap.
It's got to be. Well, I don't know. The Keep is pretty incoherent.
I think Miami Vice is more reprehensible because he was one of the creative geniuses behind that show, and you couldn't bring that to the movie.
Good point. Yeah, Miami Vice is worst.
Because I look at all his movies, Manhunter is really good, but it is very much an 80s movie. I've never seen Last of the Mohegans.
Excellent.
I'm not crazy about Heat. I've made that clear. Really like The Insider. Like Ali. Collateral is amazing until the third act. And then it just turns into an action movie. Hate Miami Vice. Public Enemies is kind of eh. And Black Hat sucked.
For his best, it's between Heat and The Insider. I certainly get why Heat leaves a lot of people cold. I don't know. It never even though there's never really like reasons to like sympathize with some of the characters, like I was still like drawn into it. A lot, even though in the rivalry between the two lead characters, even though they only really meet in the middle of the movie and then the end.
Yeah.
I certainly love the push and pull tension between their two groups. I think it's one of Val Kilmer's best roles too.
Yeah, and he's the one that no one talks about.
Right. I mean, I think actually he might even be the best. In the movie, too, even better than De Niro and Pacino.
Although,
also, interesting thing, Heat is a remake of Michael Mann's own TV movie, LA Takedown, which is approximately half the length of Heat.
I think Heat has pacing issues. I think it.
At 170 minutes, I think it's fair to say it has.
And then, if you're looking at Rotten Tomatoes, his highest movie is Last of the Mohegans with 97%. Lowest is Black Hat at 31. Although The Keep has a 20, but it only has like 10 reviews.
And, of course, we can't really talk about Heat without talking about the big shootout in the streets.
The scene that Christopher Nolan borrowed. you just give up Joker masks, and there you go.
What I love about that scene, and it's something that I've noticed in almost all Mann movies since Heat, is that a lot of gunshots in movies, the gunshots, they feel like I'm not sure how to exactly describe this, but I'm going to say compartmentalized, which is like they definitely feel like their sounds recorded in a sound booth and added onto a movie, but it feels like you feel like you're in the middle of the LA streets in a gunfight, because it's not just the gunshots ringing from the guns themselves. Like, you hear the echoes in the distance. Like, you hear it ringing. Every pull of the trigger is like a sonic boom throughout the city, and you feel like you're right there. And I think that achieves the whole like immersive, like you are there feeling that Mann goes for in a lot of his movies way better than his weird attachment to digital recently that has not really worked out well.
I think it's hindered his movies, because Public Enemies, it's supposed to be a period piece, and that kind of overly polished digital photography just doesn't work. It kind of clashes with the costumes and the...
It's not really that's polished. It's that I don't know how to describe this, because it's not the frame rate. I guess it is the frame rate, but like there's something weird where it doesn't feel like high def digital, like it doesn't feel like a movie digital. Like, it feels like an actual just handheld camera that like someone, like, it feels like there's an amateur person on the set filming Johnny Depp shooting at Christian Bale in a firefight. It doesn't feel like a skilled director like Mann doing it.
Although my favorite scene in Public Enemies is when Christian Bale blows a hole the size of a grapefruit through Channing Tatum. And I went, oh my god, that's Channing Tatum.
And yeah, he died.
Because this was back when I was like, fuck Channing Tatum.
Yeah, this was in the Channing Tatum is the worst.
It's kind of funny how he and Bradley Cooper have had these huge turnarounds as far as actors I used to hate.
Well, Bradley Cooper, I didn't mind, because I thought he was good at playing the one-note roles he did. Channing Tatum couldn't even pull off the simplest of emotions before, like...
Maybe Jai Courtney is going to be the new Channing Tatum, where he surprises us at some point.
I hope so, before he keeps sucking up the roles.
Although, speaking of Terminator, James Cameron.
Don't think I need to say mine, because it's aliens.
Yeah, I would say the first Terminator.
And weakest, I think we're in agreement
it's
that
it's just by default, because I like all of his other movies. It's just funny, his last two movies are his two weakest movies.
I think I like Titanic more than True Lies.
Really?
Yeah, I think True Lies is my... If I were to rank them, I would put True Lies just above Avatar. Well, okay, since there's just 7 movies.
Yeah, everyone's like, that's it? Well, he makes one movie every 10 years, so...
Well, no, that was only...
Actually, we're forgetting his worst movie, Piranha 2.
Well, see, like, Avatar is officially the worst one, but unofficially it's Piranha 2. Because we don't count that one.
Yeah,
we just don't.
He doesn't count it.
Let's see. Okay, yeah. Aliens, T2, T1, The Abyss, Titanic, True Lies, and then Avatar.
I agree with that, except I would flop the 2 Terminators.
Terminators, yeah.
Because I like one more because it's a horror movie, not an act. Like Terminator, when I saw that as a kid, that was one of the scariest movies I had ever seen.
You're watching him cut his eyeball out in the mirror.
Yeah. Fuck you, asshole.
I was more horrified by the terrible Arnold puppet that was in that scene.
Christopher Nolan. Best. It's cliche to say Dark Knight, but
let's see. Best Dark Knight, worst Dark Knight Rises. Actually, no, wait. Worst.
I like Dark Knight Rises more than Interstellar.
Yeah, I'd say worst Interstellar.
I would go Memento number 1. I'd go Memento 1, Dark Knight 2, and then
Begins.
I like Insomnia 3, and then Begins 4. And yeah, I think Rises ekes out Interstellar a little bit just because that Matt Damon scene just... And I felt like the whole conceit of the bookcase, and it's like a hippie movie where it's like the power of love will save everything. Since Big Eyes just came out, Tim Burton.
Well, I just want to say, I guess I appreciate Interstellar more than Dark Knight Rises, but if I'm gonna think of which movie I'm gonna put on next, it'll be Rises.
Because I feel like Interstellar only works in a theater. I don't know if it would work as well on a home screen.
It's definitely a movie that is better appreciated for what it tries to do and not necessarily what it accomplishes. But Tim Burton.
I gotta say, Big Eyes was really good. I was shocked.
I loved it. I think that no, Big Eyes should be nominated over Imitation Game. You know.
Well, Amy Adams should be nominated for actress. I think.
That's a good point.
But best Ed Wood.
Ed Wood. Yeah.
If you're not counting Ed Wood, because that's the obvious answer, Sweeney Todd. Because I feel like it's the movie that best fits his style.
Gonna be crushingly predictable and choose Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, that's probably number 3. Because the thing is, I feel like Tim Burton's best movies are his early stuff, and then Sweeney Todd and Big Eyes. There's that whole middle period. Although I'm one of the few people who really likes Big Fish.
A lot of people like Big Fish. It's just
but a lot of people forget that's him.
Well, and also a lot of people didn't see Big Fish, which is unfortunate.
He's got Big Fish, Big Eyes, and then worst, Planet of the Apes.
Yeah. Okay. I was trying to think like. Is there a difference?
I don't think there's anything like I really don't like Batman Returns, but I think there's a method to its madness, whereas Planet of the Apes is just such a huge misfire.
Well, also Batman Returns has that distinct Burton flavor, which even when it's misguided, it's still something that you can you can grasp onto as like something that's really unique and singular and something entirely of the visionary that made the movie, whereas Planet of the Apes could have been made by anybody.
Yeah, and then I don't know what's worse between Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or Alice in Wonderland.
I thought you liked Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
I do, except for Johnny Depp.
I'm not a big fan of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but it's definitely better than Alice in Wonderland.
Because I think Alice in Wonderland's bad, but I don't think it's one of the worst movies ever made. I feel like it's kind of gotten... Because there's stuff in there that I do like.
Still don't understand how it made over $1 billion.
And it came out in March. That's so
hollow. It's like Tim Burton on autopilot. Because at first I thought like, oh, Alice in Wonderland. Why hasn't Tim Burton made this movie before? And then when I watched the movie, I realized, oh, it's because it's so easy for him that it's just not even fun to watch.
The problem is Tim Burton's movies don't have a lot of focus for the most part. And then the book doesn't have much focus, so when you put it together...
Which is a funny thing because I think Alice in Wonderland tries to put too much focus because, like you said, the book is not very focused either, but there's a method to its madness.
But in the movie, he puts in a prophecy, and he tries to make a cohesive story out of it, and I don't think it works, and it kind of goes against the book.
It's like Lord of the Wonderland Rings.
Though, as far as his other movies, I really like Sleepy Hollow. I think it's one of the more underrated movies out there. I really like Mars Attacks. I know you don't, but
you're not a big fan.
I don't like Corpse Bride. That's him on autopilot to me.
Corpse Bride is certainly him playing to his usual tics, but I think it has a lot. I think it has a lot more heart in it than something like Alice in Wonderland.
And then Dark Shadows is not good. It's really bad.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I've seen some of it on HBO.
Yeah, because they play it. It's
not very good.
They play it a lot for some reason.
Frankenweenie is another example of him playing to his usual set of tools, but it's just good and heartfelt enough that I think it wins out over some of those mid-2000 ones. I definitely love Sweeney Todd, just like you do. And for the record, just in case some of you are wondering, there's a reason why we're not mentioning Nightmare Before Christmas, because it's not his movie.
I guarantee you go up to anybody with a fucking Nightmare on Elm Street hoodie on, you ask them who directed it. I mean, Nightmare Before Christmas, I'm so sorry. They're going to tell you Tim Burton.
I know and you know what's even said? I know so many people that whenever I'm talking about Tim Burton, they say their favorite Tim Burton movie is Nightmare Before Christmas. And when I tell them it's not a Tim Burton movie,
you tell them it's Henry Selick, and then they go...
There's a look of confusion followed by a look of crushing disappointment.
Yeah. This next one's really old school. Paul Verhoeven.
Just hearing that name gets me so excited.
See, it's so... it comes down to two. RoboCop and Total Recall.
It's got to be RoboCop for me. RoboCop, I've always loved. But it just gets better every time I watch it.
And it's got more to it. Because, like, Total Recall, I think his most purely entertaining movie. And it's one of Schwarzenegger's best movies that's not Terminator.
Total Recall is certainly a head trip, but it's definitely playing more in, like, the dumb action movie realm. It doesn't have the social commentary that RoboCop or I almost said Showgirls does. Well, Showgirls does have social commentary. It's just so mind-bogglingly inept and obvious that
I'm fascinated by that movie.
Doesn't count.
He also made a movie recently called Black Book. That's really good.
I have nice tits.
I always have, haven't I? But he had RoboCop, Total Recall, Basic Instinct, and then Showgirls. But then he rebounded with Starship Troopers.
And then he fell back again with Hollow Man.
But then he made Black Book,
which
is awesome. I haven't seen Trick, though. I was shocked he's still making movies.
He's got a movie coming out. Well, he didn't direct it, but there's a movie he's producing called The Winter Queen. Why don't they direct again?
And then
I've been trying for a long time to keep like searching out his earlier stuff. So I haven't been able to see like some of his earlier Dutch stuff, like Turkish Delight or Soldier of Orange. But The Fourth Man is great, and
he's a director that's a lot smarter than people give him credit for, I think.
And he has two sides to him, that at least of the movies of his that I've seen. He's got the actual, I guess, two, maybe three sides. There's the one side which is like science fiction, action, social commentary spectacular, which is RoboCop, Total Recall, and Starship Troopers. And then his second side is the De Palma mode, which is hypersexualized violence and gore. And I mean, it's when you watch it, it's hard not to compare. When you watch The Fourth Man or Basic Instinct, it's really hard not to compare him to De Palma, because like everything down to the tone, like the way he like frames the scenes, it's certainly it almost feels like both filmmakers are just like collaborating on these movies. Yeah. Despite Basic Instinct's notoriety, Fourth Man is a way better movie. I think because Basic Instinct definitely has. Well, and the great thing about Verhoeven is, even though he's playing in a lot of in the sandbox of genres who most people would characterize as trashy or dumb, like the action movie or the sex thriller, which the sex thriller especially is trashy in that most of them are terrible.
Yeah.
But I think like De Palma, he has a great knack for just understanding what makes pulp works and embracing the tone of it. It's a lot. I mean, they're a lot like this year's Gone Girl in the way it finds the perfect balance of controlled pulpiness. And the problem with Basic Instinct is that it has some sluggish parts toward the end, and oh my god, the dialogue is so bad. And which, of course, we would see later in Verhoeven's return to working with Esther Haas in Showgirls. Which...
Yeah.
It's hard to top Showgirls as your worst.
Because it's so notorious. Although I think it's so bad it's good. Like, I could sit down and watch it.
I would say it's so bad it's good, but it goes on really long, and then you get to the end. One of the end scenes where the best friend gets raped, and it just kills a lot of that.
What would you rather watch? If you had to watch, because I know this movie you hate, if you had to watch Flashdance or Showgirls, what would you watch?
I'd rather watch Showgirls. Because I think Flashdance is just a lot of flash and a lot of dance.
Bullshit.
And not much laughs. Whereas Showgirls, as really uncomfortable and out of tone as it gets later on, before that point, it's way more entertaining as a bad movie. Especially just watching Elizabeth Berkley try her damnedest to be sexy and trying so hard. Like, it's like she's trying so hard to be sexy that she just becomes unsexy in the process. Like, there's the infamous pool scene, of course, with her and Kyle MacLachlan, where she looks like she's having a seizure on his lap. And then there's the lap dance scene earlier in the movie where it's like, I just don't even know like what exactly is going on. Really, it's like it's like Verhoeven just didn't even really direct her. He's just like, all right, Elizabeth, just be sexy, and like that's what we got in the movie. Unfortunately, it's unfortunate the movie bombed and that the movie was terrible, because if it didn't, it could have. If it was successful, I think it would have definitely changed how the industry looks at the NC-17. But because it bombed, it's now retroactively made the NC-17 even more of a black mark.
Peter Jackson, Lord of the Rings does not count.
Heavenly Creatures.
Dead Alive. And then worst is Lovely Bones.
I do really like Bad Taste.
Yeah, I do too.
Dead Alive is a better movie, but I have a soft spot for Bad Taste. Yeah, but Heavenly Creatures, I think, is his best non-Lord of the Rings one. And actually haven't seen Lovely Bones. So I guess his worst for me is
The Hobbit.
Well, specifically Desolation.
Coen Brothers. They got a shitload of movies.
Oh man. Well, yeah, that too.
Worst is Lady Killers by default.
I'm trying to think, because I haven't seen that in full, so I can't count that. Of the ones I've seen, hold on a second. Well, my favorite is Fargo. Least favorite, 1 second. Oh, I couldn't get into The Man Who Wasn't There. Oh, wait, actually, you know what? No, my least favorite was Hudsucker Proxy.
Oh, I love that movie.
Well, see, that's the thing with the Coen brothers are like Wes Anderson for me. Like, when they have such a distinctive style that they use for all their movies that when it perfectly fits what they're doing, it's on. But there's times, like with Wes Anderson, where I think their style can ring hollow, which for me is where Hudsucker Proxy comes in. And then also stuff like Man Who Wasn't There and Intolerable Cruelty. Which I can't entirely blame them for Intolerable Cruelty because they took over the movie at the last minute.
Yeah. I would say best Miller's Crossing and worst Lady Killers. Although I've liked pretty much all their movies, especially everything post. I've loved everything post Lady Killers. So that'd be No Country for Old Men, Burn After Reading, True Grit, Serious Man, Inside Llewyn Davis. I love all those movies.
I love Raising Arizona.
Well, I love all the early stuff. Like their first 4 or 5 movies are all
I mean, you go from Blood Simple to Raising Arizona to Miller's Crossing. That in it, those three, and I know. Again, there's another one where we get divisive.
That's right. You don't like Barton Fink.
Barton Fink kind of left me cold too. But yeah, but then Fargo, best. Not a huge cultist fan of Big Lebowski, but I do love it as a comedy.
I think it's really funny.
It's great.
Because that's to me the movie that Inherent Vice should have been.
But I'm not rabid about Big Lebowski. Oh Brother Where Art Thou is hysterical, and also an important movie because Oh Brother Where Art Thou is the movie that really popularized how in today's filmmaking landscape, directors use a lot of color filtering and color correction when making their movies, to the point where I think it's gotten overdone, but certainly innovative in that regard.
Yeah. Did you like... I know you weren't a fan of A Serious Man, right?
Not really.
Okay. But I think Burn After Reading is fantastic.
Burn After Reading I thought was good when I saw it, but I thought the second time I saw it, I thought it was great.
It's one of their movies... I think a lot of their movies get better when you watch it a second time, because I didn't...
They definitely do. Like, I definitely want to watch Barton Fink and Hudsucker again at some point. Not sure when, but at some point I will watch it again. True Grit is... I don't want to say great. It's like just on the side of great for me. Inside Llewellyn Davis is one of the movies that definitely I can see getting better on repeat viewings.
That's one you need to watch again.
I've only seen it once, but it's definitely one that I can tell if I watched it again, I would appreciate it more.
Sam Raimi. You know, it's the battle of the twos. It's Evil Dead 2 versus Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. I know you'll probably pick Evil Dead 2.
Well, it also depends what mood I'm in.
I pick Spider-Man 2.
If you're talking what's a better movie, then I would say Spider-Man 2. And then worst, Quick and the Dead. I hate that movie.
Well, he made a movie called Crime Wave, which I haven't seen.
Speaking of the Coens.
Also, I heard. Yeah, I know they co-wrote that.
And he did second unit direction on the Hudsucker Proxy. That's how he.
I think I've mentioned this before. My least favorite of his is For the Love of the Game.
Is that the Kevin Costner one?
Yeah, it's the Kevin Costner sports movie.
Yeah, the generic Kevin Costner baseball movie. Although, I have to say, I really, really love Drag Me to Hell. And A Simple Plan is a really underrated movie.
Simple Plan is my second favorite of his. I like it more than Evil Dead 2, personally.
It's his most un-Raimi.
It is his most un-Raimi movie, but at the same time, there's little moments where you can see it, like, creeping through. In some of the way that the violent encounters play out later in the movie. Quick and the Dead is a little too Raimi-esque.
Yeah, that's Sam Raimi. That's like overindulging, and that was just a Sharon Stone vanity project.
For the love of the game, I would think is the least Raimi movie.
Yeah. That feels like a Kevin Costner vanity project.
Well, it doesn't have any of the raucous humor of Bull Durham. It doesn't have the magical realism of Field of Dreams, and it's just a really tepid, dull, and uninspiring romantic sports movie. It doesn't really. It's just it's so middle of the road that I don't really have much thoughts about it. Whereas Spider-Man 3. Very flawed as it is, also has a lot of highs in it.
And it's unquestionably it's the most Raimi of the Spider-Man trilogy.
It's also more specifically, the most Evil Dead of the Spider-Man trilogy. Because even Spider-Man 2 has the scene in the where Doc Ock wakes up, but this one, the fight between Harry and Peter in the apartment with like, it's like all like the camera angles are just like coming out, and like the wacky humor is more on display there than ever. Not always.
And when he knocks Harry off the glider and he knocks into like 3 garbage containers and I'm like, he'd be dead, not just knocked out. He would have died.
Well, the head blow should have taken his head off. If the head didn't come off, the second hit on the head would have killed him.
He would have had a broken neck or something.
And then like him like hitting the dumpster, I think, on the ground would have like broken his back. Dragman Hell's great, and Oz the Great and the Powerful. I don't want to say underrated, but it's a little better than people give it credit for.
Comparing it to Alice in Wonderland is insulting.
Yeah. Not entirely unwarranted, but
I think the problems with both are still there. But I think Oz does a better job of, hey, here's the like the references.
Right.
And it's a prequel, not a sequel.
True.
And I'm curious to see what this Evil Dead TV show is going to be.
I mean, well, here's the thing. But like, is Raimi just producing it, or is he actually involved in making it?
I want to say he and Bruce Campbell are just producing. They're just going to put his name on it.
See, that's the thing.
Because they did that with the remake.
That's the thing. Because as great a director as Sam Raimi is, he has a horrendous producing record. Horrendous. I think it's Ghost House, right? His Ghost House production house is terrible.
Well, I have the movies. He did produce The Grudge.
Boogeyman.
Grudge 2, which I liked. 30 Days. I like 30 Days a Night.
Okay, 30 Days a Night is probably the best one of all those. The Messengers is blah.
Priest is awful. The Possession is horrendous.
We didn't like the Evil Dead remake.
Yeah. I respect the Evil Dead remake, but I don't like it.
Armored is blah. Grudge 2 and 3 and Boogeyman 2 and 3 don't even need to be mentioned. Yes, and then next thing is the Poltergeist remake, which, whatever.
I have no desire to see it.
I mean, just the best thing he produced that he didn't have direct involvement with is Xena.
I like Xena, but I've still never seen the Darkman sequels or.
Xena was better than Hercules.
Have you seen Boogeyman? It's so bad.
Yeah, it's terrible. I saw it.
It's the most.
But I saw it close to when it came out.
It's the most generic horror movie I think I've ever seen. Like it's astounding to me.
From the director of the Get Carter remake.
Yeah, it's what's his name? Stephen K. or something like that.
Yeah.
He also did although he did direct a lot of TV, he did a lot of The Shield.
Yeah, well, the director of Halloween 6 also directed most of The Wire, so anybody can do anything, really.
Well, as long as the writing's good, I think, this is a weird director. I don't know why he gave me this one, but because he's only made 3 movies, but Steve McQueen.
Well, best 12 years.
Yeah. I don't think he has a worst. I like all 3 of his movies.
I mean, I like all of them, but if I were to rank the 3 of them, I guess Shame would be my third. I think Hunger is better than Shame.
Yeah, and Shame I will never watch again. It's like it was
all of his movies make you feel really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Is it because Michael Fassbender intimidates you?
No. I'm confident in my masculinity. But, again, he only has one good movie, Zack Snyder. got two good movies. He's got Man of Steel and he's got Dawn of the Dead.
And Watchmen.
Watchmen is good on a technical level, but
I thought you were the way you started. You said that sentence. It made it sound like you were going to say, Watchmen is like the Bible.
I could do that whole speech. I want to memorize that speech because that's if you guys have not seen this YouTube video, it's.
Well, I don't think you even can anymore because that guy's account got suspended.
Oh, but it's so funny.
It's so funny. Okay.
Because he talked about Terminator and.
He goes on for so long, and I love how I found this guy. Just for a record, people, just so you know exactly what we're dealing with here. This guy's name on YouTube was Come On Ass. As you all know, we have an affinity for the guys at the now defunct Spill.com. And the way I found out about this guy was that for some reason he hates the Spill guys with a burning passion. I think it had to do. I think it had to do with the Transformers 2 thing, where they showed Michael Bay's penis as the American flag.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah. But
I love it. Watchmen
is not like, entertainment.
He said no. He said it is not for your. Watchmen is like the Bible. Anyway.
That Sucker Punch is unspeakably awful.
Yeah, Sucker Punch is the worst.
Because it's like, everybody gets that one misfire, and then after that...
And Watchmen, for its faults, I kind of love.
I admire it a lot. Especially because that novel is almost impossible to film entirely.
Yeah.
Michael Bay. It's more fun to talk about the worst than it is the best.
Yeah, well, we've already mentioned this. Yours is Painting Game, mine's The Rock. Worst.
Although Bad Boys 2 is pretty close. I like Bad Boys 2 more than
the worst?
No, I like Bad Boys 2 more than The Rock. I don't think Bad Boys 2 is a good movie. I just love it. Worst? It's got to be Pearl Harbor. It just but if you're because Transformers 2 is as insulting, but
I know, but
taking the historical context.
Transformers 2 is so insulting. It's like it's on another. It's not even insulting by Michael Bay standards. It's just on another level.
It's so bad.
I mean, okay, so that period was when it was like the aftermath of the writer's strike, where Hollywood was pretty much cobbling together whatever scripts they had, and like 2010 was like the death knell of that period of movies made during in the wake of the writer's strike. Transformers 2, 2009, there was no year hit harder by the writer's strike, I think, than 2009, because you had Wolverine that was fucked up by it. You had, Quantum of Solace was the previous year, but that was fucked up. Terminator was fucked up because of it. And Transformers is the most fucked up because all of these movies, because the writers couldn't finish the scripts, they had the directors and the producers and the actors rewriting them on set. And the problem with Transformers 2 was they had Michael Bay rewriting the script because of it.
Which you should never do.
Because, lest we forget, Michael Bay, for all we criticize him for his storytelling faults, does not write his movies. But the movie he's probably written the most of all his movies is Transformers 2. And I think that's a good indication.
Why he should not write. But, yeah, I would Pearl Harbor. Just, it's insulting, but I would rather watch Transformers 2 than Pearl Harbor.
I will never, ever sit through Transformers 2.
I will never watch either of them again, but... Because the funny thing is, I waited 2 years to watch Transformers 2.
So
I didn't see it until the third one came out.
I will, as overblown as it is, I will still watch Pearl Harbor over it just because of the Pearl Harbor sequence.
I just can't go there.
Why does Alex hate the island so much?
I think that's like the one movie I can admire him for. Because it's like the genesis is there. It's just I think with another punch up. Because didn't that get fucked by like some kind of strike or?
No, that was fucked because of marketing. That's his only bomb
which is sad. I mean, it made its money back, but pretty much anything that gets a theatrical release will make its money back somehow through.
It's also the first movie he collaborated with Orchie and Kurtzman on.
Oh, fuck them. And you know what? That's their best screenplay.
Yeah, it's his only bomb. It cost almost $130 million, and it only grossed about $162 million.
Yeah. Because I have not liked any of the other Orchie and Kurtzman scripts. I'm reading there because they got The Island, Legend of Zorro, Mission.
Oh, that's right. They fucked up the Zorro franchise too.
Mission Impossible 3, which it's decent, but if you take out Philip Seymour Hoffman, it's a bad movie.
Well, see, that's the thing though with them. Their best movies are the ones with J.J. Abrams, because J.J. Abrams is a director who his movies are exciting enough that we're able to temporarily overlook the script flaws.
Yeah. Except Into Darkness.
Well, okay, I mean, like Mission Impossible 3 and the first Star Trek.
Okay. That's what, I keep forgetting Abrams did the third Mission Impossible. I thought Brad Bird did 3 and 4. Oh, that's weird. They have 4 different directors for the.
Well, Abrams produced the 4th one. But that's why I like the Mission Impossible series, because the Mission Impossible series is a great introductory way to study auteur theory. Like for someone just getting into film and they're just first learn. I'm actually dead serious about this. For someone who's just getting into film and who wants to learn more about it, and they first hear about the term auteur theory, I'm dead serious. I think they should study the 4 Mission Impossible movies and how they each differ, and how each of the 4 movies bears the stamp of the 4 directors.
I'd argue the Burton, Schumacher, Nolan, Batman movies.
We'll see. Like, but the thing is, that's just 2 directors.
3.
Whereas, like, wait, Burton, Schumacher,
Nolan.
Oh, okay, Nolan. Okay, but see, like that. But that's more glaringly obvious way to tell the difference.
Oh, okay.
Like, obviously it's like Gothic Darkness.
Or you could do Bond. You got Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall.
Casino
Or
Royale,
the 4 Brosnan movies. They all have 4 distinct.
Casino Royale. I mean, the Bond movies aren't really auteur driven. They usually aside from Mendes, the Bond movies hire gun for hire directors. Really,
I don't look at. I don't look at Abrams as an auteur. That's the thing.
Well, he's not really an auteur, but when you compare him to the other 3 directors in the Mission Impossible series, he definitely has his distinct look about him. Like, he has a lot of close-ups.
Lens flares.
There's I don't remember that many lens flares in that one, and compared to the other ones, he uses a lot more like color correction on like his like filtering and stuff like that. But anyway, so I guess let's just do Abrams. Best Star Trek and worst Into Darkness.
Hasn't he only made 3 movies?
Mission Impossible, Star Trek, and Super 8, and then Into Darkness. Okay. So 4 movies.
Best Mission Impossible 3, worst Into Darkness. I fucking hate that movie. I'm sorry.
The title kind of says it all. We're going into.
That's what they should have subtitled Amazing Spider-Man 2. Into bullshit or.
Into Magic Blood.
It's like reprehensible. Oh God, I'm skipping this next one.
What's the next one?
I'm not talking about Terrence Malick. He's only got. I only like.
Wait. Let's put our berets on.
or our cowboy hats.
I think his best is still his first movie, Badlands.
Well, he did Lanton Mills, but that's a short film.
Yeah.
I'd say Days of Heaven. Worst. I hate
the New World.
I hate the New World.
Yeah.
I can't believe how many people say it's underrated. And not just that, a lot of people say it's one of the best movies of the 2000s. It got positive reviews. I don't think it got.
I don't understand these people.
Yeah, it's got a 61% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I understand the people who love Tree of Life and even Thin Red Line, but I don't get the New World cult.
Because I don't think it just doesn't grab me. Especially since, like, all of Alexander, there's, like, 5 cuts of the movie.
It was also in that bad period for Colin Farrell where he didn't quite know what niche he was going to fit into yet.
Well, that was the period where he was in everything.
Too much.
Yeah, to the point where it's like, I don't even want to see him again.
Yeah.
It's like, go away.
Yeah, there was a point where I was sick of Colin Farrell. Mostly because he just wasn't good in most of these
I was
movies.
sick of him after, like, 1 year. Because there was the year where it was, like, Phone Booth, Daredevil.
SWAT.
Well, his filmography. Daredevil, Phone Booth, The Recruit, SWAT, Intermission. That's 5 movies in 1 year.
Oh, that's a terrible slate. Especially if there's such a promising debut with Tigerland.
Oh, fuck that movie, though. I like Heart's War.
I forgot about that one. That with Bruce Willis, right?
Yeah. I thought he was good in Minority Report. I just thought the movie was kind of eh. And then he had, after SWAT, Alexander, The New World, Miami Vice. It's 3 turds right there. And then Pride and Glory, which is awful.
And then In Bruges finally brought back the Colin Farrell that was good again.
Honestly, I think he should do more comedies.
Or just stick to
Or play assholes.
just stick to Martin McDonagh movies.
Because I thought Horrible Bosses, he was the funniest part.
And he's so underused in it.
Well, there was a whole scene that was cut out where he's in the grocery store. And I can't remember. There's something he says in that movie that always like, yeah, I know you're close with my dad, but that's kind of gay. Where he's like, I want you to fire Professor Xavier over there. See that? Him rolling around in a special little seat. Because my thing about Colin Farrell is I thought he was great in the Fright Night remake.
It's just the movie.
He was the best part of Daredevil.
Yeah.
I like Seven Psychopaths. It's just I don't like him as a leading man. Like in stuff like Total Recall and
That's the thing. He needs to embrace that he's a character actor, not a leading man.
because I am convinced that there are certain actors out there who should be character actors but keep getting, like McConaughey.
And Channing Tatum.
I'd argue Val Kilmer. I think
Sure.
stuff like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang or Heat, when he plays those kind of roles instead of leads, he's much better.
See The Saint, for an example.
Yeah. Or Willow. Oh, I mean, no, he's great in Willow. Like roles like that. Or Real Genius, Top Gun. But when he tries to be the lead, like,
Batman?
yeah, like Batman or Red Planet or
Yeah.
that's an awful movie. But I think he should do more stuff like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I thought he should have been the villain in Iron Man 3.
We're trying to make... I was desperately trying to think of a fat joke in that 5 seconds, but I couldn't think of any.
I wonder if he showed up for the screen test and they're like, yeah, this is just not going to work.
He could have shown up, well, maybe if Fox and Marvel worked out the differences, he could have appeared as the Blob.
Oh, you...
Yeah, that's how it worked.
That's... Even I'd be more clever than that. He went from being Batman to being the Batmobile. Wasn't he MacGruber?
Still love it. Yeah, as Dieter von Kuntz. And he was also one of the better parts of MacGruber, too.
I hate that movie except for him. But I want to see him do more stuff like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, where he gets to be... Because I think he's really funny. It's like, I call it my faggot gun, because it's only good for a couple of loads, and then you have to dump it for something else.
One of the guys... Okay, when Tony is, like, being, like, strung up, like, he's, like handcuffed or whatever, to, like, the bed frame, and there's the 2 guys that are, like, the guards bantering, like, in the same room as him. There's the one guy with, like, the ponytail tied up, and that guy reminded me so much of Val Kilmer.
And MacGruber, yeah.
Not yeah, that's right. In MacGruber, he does have the ponytail, but like, he reminded me so much of Val Kilmer that it almost seemed like they wrote that part for him, and he wasn't there, or he couldn't do it.
Tarantino. Pulp Fiction doesn't count because I think that's what we would all. Everyone says it's his best movie.
Reservoir Dogs, and least favorite Kill Bill. I didn't know. Can we and exclude Death Proof as the worst?
Well, have you seen Death Proof?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll throw that out.
All right. Then if we're excluding Death Proof, then least favorite is Kill Bill 1.
Best Jackie Brown. Worst. Just Inglourious Bastards. Just by default. Yeah, I like Kill Bill 1 just slightly more. And then worst, anytime he tries to act.
With the exception of the Madonna speech in Reservoir Dogs.
Everything else.
There's only Pulp Fiction and Django, I think.
Four.
Oh, wait, no.
Well, Four Rooms.
4 Rooms. That's right.
He was all.
But I don't remember what movie it was. But he has the immortal speech about Top Gun and Maverick and Iceman's unrequited love.
I'm trying to think. This was a movie?
This was in a movie, and it completely changed how we talk about Top Gun today.
Was it? What was it?
It was like a small movie. It's called Sleep With Me.
Oh, yeah. It says he was in Inglourious Bastards, but he has an unspeaking part. He's the first guy that gets scalped.
Oh.
See, that's what he needs to do, not talk.
Yeah, good. He learned his strength.
Actually, you know what? I thought Little Nicky was horrendous, but he had the funniest part as the cameo with as the deacon.
Oh, yeah. I forgot he was in that.
But I think he's awful in From Dusk Till Dawn. And it says he wrote. It says he wrote The Rock. He was involved. He was uncredited for the screenplay for The Rock.
There was a period in the 90s where he was a script doctor polishing scripts. Like he.
Natural Born Killers, didn't he polish that?
Natural Born Killers was originally his script that Oliver Stone twisted into something unrecognizable.
It's his story.
And Tarantino hates the movie because of it. Natural Born Killers was originally his full script that was turned into something else. He doctored The Rock and he doctored Crimson Tide.
Ugh.
That's a good movie.
I love Tony Scott, and I don't even like that movie. That's right. Yeah, he also had a cameo in The Muppets Wizard of Oz as himself. I can't.
Not sure how to process that sentence.
He looks like a Muppet.
He's got the face for one. He's got the weirdest shaped face I've ever seen. It's like a giant forehead with just this pointy chin.
It's like good thing he stays behind the camera, for the most part, because
a face for radio.
I don't know. His voice kind of gets on my nerves when he talks for too long.
I love his words. I just don't like when he's speaking his words.
Yeah, because I love Pulp Fiction, but the one part that I hate, does my garage say dead nigger storage on it?
We get it.
We get it. You like saying the N-word.
You like the N-word a lot.
We got that from Django and Jade. I was like, nigger wasn't said that much in the 1800s.
It's like, come on. It's like, all you need to do is just look at that movie, and it's like, you're like, oh yeah, they said it all the time back then. And then you watch something like 12 Years a Slave, and it's like, okay, you can say it a lot without going overboard with it.
You can do it without being exploitive.
Yeah.
We got one left, Spielberg.
Oh, there's so many.
It's hard to pick that definitive one.
For you, it's hard to pick the definitive worst.
I think it's hard to pick both. I will say Raiders.
Raiders is certainly very close.
I like how we picked the most cliched answers imaginable.
I mean, it's like, I want to say let's exclude Jaws and Raiders, but
then you could pick.
Many, see, that's the thing. He has so many movies that could be obvious choices.
If you're talking like underrated, Munich is really good. And it's clear that was his passion project because he was doing that and War of the Worlds at the same time.
Yeah.
I think he did that with Lost World and Schindler's List, I think.
No, Lost World and Amistad.
Ah, that's right.
Schindler's List in the first Jurassic Park.
I don't like Jurassic Park. I can't put my finger on why.
Watch out, the pitchforks are coming for you.
Maybe it's because I love the book so much and I like how the book is so much darker.
Quick, get your knives and pitchforks. Yeah. We're going after him.
I can go one step further. I think the third one's the best one of the three.
Now you're just pissing on your audience.
Well, it's like, I think as a B movie, I think it's a great B movie. It's like, we got dinosaurs, you're stuck on an island, and it's only an hour and a half. And there's no, because in the first two movies, there's one scene that I hate in each one. Second one is the girl doing gymnastics. / the T-Rex in San Diego.
So awful.
And then in the first one, there's the whole scene with, what is it? Don't tell me. It's when they barricade themselves in the door. She's on the unit system.
Yeah.
That it's just so cheap. Oh no! It's when the T-Rex comes in to save the day, and they don't hear it coming.
It just appears out of nowhere.
It's the invisible T-Rex. And personally, 3 has that awesome scene with the pteranodons.
Yes, it does. My most underrated is AI. I think that movie gets a bad rep, even though it has one ending too many. And I think there's a lot more going under the surface. A lot more going under the surface of that movie than is often seen. I think the endings kind of cloud the movie for a lot of people.
Yep. Although I haven't seen it in a long. That's one I got to rewatch because I still don't have this opinion on it. I'm still indifferent to it. Oh no, his most underrated movie is Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, and just a little tidbit to clear this up, in case people have the wrong conception of it. Spielberg didn't take over AI after Kubrick died. Kubrick specifically said that Spielberg should make the movie.
Although, I think Boyhood is kind of... That sounded like the movie that... Because Kubrick wanted to take a boy...
12 Years in AI.
Yeah. Well, not just that, Kubrick wanted to take a boy actor and watch him grow up on screen. Mm-hmm. But he's got so many goddamn movies. It's... And then... Worst. Oh, boy.
I gotta think about this one.
Can I tell you, Rotten Tomatoes, his highest score is Jaws at 98%.
What a shocker.
Followed closely by, Raiders has a 95, Close Encounters has a 95, Sugarland Express 92. It's got a lot of high movies, but his lowest movies are Hook and 1941. They have a 31 and a 32.
I have not seen 1941, so it's got to go with Hook for me.
I would tend to agree. Aside from those, because those are the two obvious ones.
I was debating Lost World, but Lost World at least has a couple scenes that I think are great in it.
It does. Actually, I hate The Terminal. I hate that movie so much.
But Tom Hanks talks in a funny accent.
He does his Lotka impression.
But it's a fake country.
I guess his worst movie would be the segment he did in the Twilight Zone movie.
No, Hook is worse than that.
But I it takes one of the best episodes.
Leave the nostalgia behind, people.
And I like Indiana Jones 4.
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
Crystal Skull is better than Hook.
It's better than Temple of Doom, I will make that claim.
Now you've gone too far.
I won't say it's better than 1 or 3, but I like it more than Temple of Doom because it does not have Kate Capshaw.
But short round.
I don't care. It's because Kevin Smith has beaten that line to death. His average Rotten Tomato score is a 79.63. That's insane.
What's the average rating?
79%.
Oh, 79.
If you round up, it's an 80 because it's 79.6. It's just funny, from from Terminal to Lincoln, 61, 74, 78, 78, 75, 77.
Huh.
And actually, I don't like Warhorse. That was like Spielberg at his most sentimental.
Well, Warhorse is to Spielberg something like
Corpse Bride is to Tim Burton.
Yeah, I was gonna say Alice in Wonderland, but I think Warhorse is much better than Alice in Wonderland. So I would say Corpse Bride, where it's like it's like a checklist of everything you expect Spielberg to do.
Yeah. Tintin, I like it, but I'm not. It's not something I ever feel like I'm going to watch again.
Tintin, I thought was, I don't know, it rang hollow for me. The mocap, it just doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It just doesn't work, even when it's not Zemeckis.
Although, I'm looking at Scorsese's filmography, his Rotten Tomato scores recently. They're actually pretty impressive. He only has one movie that's a rotten score, and that's Boxcar Bertha. 69, 98, 95, 98, 67, 98, 93, 89, 92, 83, 97, 76, 80, 80, 76, 71, 75, 87, 92, 68, 94, 77.
Mighty impressive.
That is pretty impressive.
Even though Wall Street's is too low.
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's that people don't like the satire?
I don't know. I'm not really sure what it was.
Or how the characters are so despicable.
I think it's a combination of that and that the movie is so gaudy and it dives headlong so much into its debauchery that it just was too much for some people.
What's funny is that the project was originally offered to Ridley Scott.
Would not nearly have been the same.
But DiCaprio said, I want to make this with Martin and no one else. Because he was pitching that for years.
Leo's like, did you see how he fucked up Prometheus? Come on now.
I don't want to be in another bad movie. Although he hasn't made anything bad, DiCaprio, in a long time. If you really think about it.
You mean like bad, not like disappointing or mediocre.
Well, I don't think he's made anything. The last thing that was bad was Body of Lies.
That's why you like J. Edgar.
Yeah.
Yeah, Body of Lies was
Well, the Revolutionary Roads.
Very underrated.
Yeah. That's what would have happened if they got off the Titanic alive. So maybe she was better off with him dying. And since we're on the Sam Mendes topic, we need to mention that Alex thinks Jarhead is one of the most underrated movies ever, because he says that in every show.
Because Alex will not go through any conversation without mentioning Jarhead at least once.
Yeah, we mentioned Jarhead, we mentioned Avatar.
But I agree with him. I think Jarhead is definitely one of the more underrated movies of the 2000s.
Although Mendes, I love all of his movies. He hasn't made that many, but... Yeah, he's only got 6 movies. Spectre makes 7.
Wait, American Beauty, Road to Perdition, Revolutionary Road, Skyfall.
Away We Go.
Oh, sorry, Away We Go. Okay.
Did you see that for Spectre they got Mr. White?
I thought that was just a rumor. I didn't know that was. I didn't know if that was confirmed.
Well, this might still be a rumor, but I was on Wikipedia. That's why I saw it.
Oh, okay. I remember reading the story. Well, I remember the actor said it looked like he might be back, but I'm not sure if he actually is.
It should be, because that's still a loose end.
I mean, it is, but does anyone really care that much?
No. Especially since Blofeld is coming. Or so.
Well,
I don't think...
Oberhauser.
I don't think Waltz is going to be Blofeld. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't...
Because I want another Telly Savalas type who can actually be a physical threat.
Well, it could be like what they did with those Connery movies where they revealed Blofeld over time. And instead they show the Spectre agents first.
Yeah. Maybe it's Dave Bautista. That's... Actually, that would be pretty funny.
That would be funny and bizarre and just, like, confusing but kind of awesome on many levels.
Because he would kick Daniel Craig's ass. There's like no... Oh, I didn't realize Monica Bellucci was cast.
Yep. As one of the main girls.
Is she kind of old?
I like that. I like that they decided.
Although Craig's getting up there, we have to.
It's like, come on, we've picked enough women that are half his age.
Yeah.
We need to, you know. Sometimes it's fine to cast a woman who's closer to his age. I mean, shit, it worked out with Maud Adams in Octopussy. Yeah, Monica Bellucci, I think, is in her 40s. She might even be the same age as Craig, but I'm not
She's
sure.
51. He's 46.
She's older than Craig.
Yeah.
Oh. Whew. Well, for her, 50 is the, 50 is the new 30, evidently, because she still looks gorgeous.
Do you think the guy from Sherlock is going to be Blofeld?
Oh, I hope not.
Because to me that seems too obvious.
That would be too obvious, and also I just wouldn't like that.
Well, I just don't see him as that kind of character.
I'm not even that big of... I love Sherlock, the show, but I don't know, his portrayal of Moriarty, at least in the first couple times you see him, throws you off a little bit. Like, I like him in his later appearances, but in the early appearances, it doesn't work for me as much. So, yeah, I'm not sure about it. It's weird because it would be too obvious if he's Blofeld, but then it would also be too obvious if Waltz is Blofeld too.
Yeah, it's like they kind of back themselves into a corner.
Which is why Batista must be Blofeld.
Well, I think they should just keep it secret until the 25th movie.
That would make sense if they brought Blofeld back in the 25th movie. Yeah. Well, although isn't the next movie? I thought the next movie was an anniversary, but I guess it's not.
Well, it's gonna be the 25th movie.
Oh, that's right. Skyfall was an anniversary.
Skyfall was the 50th anniversary.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Unless it comes out in 2017 and it's the, 55th anniversary, but.
But who celebrates 55th?
But I think the 25th movie. The 25th movie makes sense because was it Die Another Day number 20, and it was the 40th anniversary.
Yeah, it was.
Not gonna argue over you with that again, but
we're not gonna compare that up.
Although Golden Gun was 10th, I don't think they celebrate anything for that.
It's because nobody wants to celebrate anything.
There's nothing worth celebrating.
There's nothing in celebrating with me at the Golden Gun.
Unless you're Alex.
I used to like it too.
Yeah. I really don't. I know this sounds trivial, but I don't like the Spectre poster.
You don't like it?
I think it's too obvious.
I think it's cool.
And it looks like another Nolan homage.
Let's not go there.
Just saying. Because as if Skyfall wasn't.
I think it's cool. I like how it's like the bullet ripple through the glass makes the octopus.
Yeah.
Although I wonder if there's some people who, like, before reading the title, they're like, is it Octopussy?
Octopi.
Octopi.
Although Walt says he's not playing Blofeld, but I think it's going to be another.
But then again, J.J. Abrams said Benedict Cumberbatch wasn't playing
And
Tom.
And Marion Cotillard said, "I'm not playing
Talia.
Talia."
Playing Talia.
Yeah. I hope it's. I hope it's Batista. Please be Batista.
What if Ray Fiennes is Blofeld?
Too obvious.
What? But he's M.
Yeah, but again, too obvious because he's played so many goddamn villains.
What better way to introduce Blofeld than to infiltrate and become the leader of MI6 and then take it apart from the inside? Oh, wait, that happened in the last movie.
Yeah. And Fiennes has played enough bad guys. He's finally a good guy. Let's.
Wait, when was he a good guy?
I said he in Skyfall. He's finally a good guy.
That's Fiennes. I thought you were talking about Waltz.
No, Waltz
will forever play bad guys.
Has he ever played a good guy? Zero theorem. That's
okay, Django. He was a good guy.
Yeah. Well, to the racists, he wasn't.
Django.
Let's see. Bad guy in Inglourious Basterds. Bad guy in The Green Hornet. Bad guy in Water for Elephants. Bad guy in The Three Musketeers. Asshole in Carnage. Good guy in Django Unchained. Never saw Epic. And Horrible Bosses and Big Eyes. Played the villains in almost everything.
Zero Theorem I know is the new Terry Gilliam movie, but I don't know if he's the hero in that.
He's the main character.
Okay, so I guess good guy then? What about Muppets?
He plays himself.
Oh.
He does the waltz with Sweetums. That's the whole joke. Because they bring him on to do the...
of course it's a joke.
Because they do the Muppet Show.
It's the Muppets. I shouldn't expect anything else.
Yeah. And I think he's playing the bad guy in the new Tarzan movie.
Of course.
Because
that's what he'd be playing.
He's pretty much playing Clayton. Although we got Alexander Skarsgård and Margot Robbie as your two leads. And also Samuel L. Jackson. Because he's in fucking everything at this point. He does so many goddamn movies, it's not even... Like, he's gonna retire like the wealthiest man. Maybe he won't retire, because he's 66 and black ain't cracking.
Well, still kicking it.
Because Winter Soldier, he kicked more ass than that. Then.
Yeah. I mean, Samuel L. Jackson, he's got that secret Hollywood formula that makes you look 20 years younger than you actually are.
I don't know what it is.
Denzel.
Let's see.
Denzel was 60 years old. That's insane.
Because he had 5 movies come out in 2014. He's got 5 coming out in 2015.
He also takes a paycheck wherever it is.
Yeah. Because he's got Barely Legal, which I've never heard of. It's got Haley Steinfeld in it. Age of Ultron, Kingsman, Cell, Hateful Eight. Oh, Cell's the new Stephen King movie. Reteaming John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson for another Stephen King movie.
How clever.
Although it's not the same director as 2008 or whatever.
1408.
That's how.
2008.
I only saw like 45 minutes of 1408. Anything else?
No.
That seems like a good...
Apart from 1408 is kind of underrated.
Yeah, go check that out. It's actually a good PG-13 horror movie. It's slow, but once that room starts fucking with him...
It's like if you took The Shining but kept it in one room instead of a whole hotel.
And you got rid of some of the more crazy elements. Uh-oh. What happened? What happened?